Now that enough time has passed and the overall hype has gone down for Assassin's Creed Nexus, I think it's now the perfect time to go back and give it, well, a full review.
Silversmith looking for
Shut up!
Before we jump in, I want to let you know that I completed this game on the hardest difficulty in about 11 hours. And I also want to let you know how I'm going to be scoring this game. There are 5 categories. We have immersion, gameplay, aesthetics, value, and lastly, fun. Now, all of that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. Our first category is immersion. And to me, immersion is one of the most important aspects out of any VR game because it dictates how you are going to feel inside this world. An example of immersion is being able to see a cup, walk up to it, pick it up with your virtual hand, and interact with it. Assassin's Creed Nexus does a great job at immersing the player inside the game. You truly do feel like the assassin or assassins you're playing as. Right away, you'll notice that you are the full avatar. Arms, legs, waist, and all, which is very satisfying to see. Especially when you're parkouring and climbing on various obstacles. Seeing the player's legs attached to the wall or statue or wall you're climbing with your hands is very satisfying. Then there's the hidden blades. Taking these things out feel absolutely amazing. It was everything I wanted ever since I played the first Assassin's Creed and wanted to do so myself. But then I noticed when I was using my hidden blades, I tried to touch them to other things and well, there wasn't really any collision to the blades, which was a tad bit upsetting, but as long as they did their job, I was all for it. But now let's talk about the free running and parkour. You play as master assassins in Assassin's Creed, so fumbling about while parkouring is not really something that you want to be doing. Thankfully, in Assassin's Creed Nexus, you sprint around and then hold the A button to enable, well, auto parkour. This enables the player to run around just like a master assassin. However, this does take away some agency from the player. So sometimes when I was free running and jumping from building to building and then looking to manually grab onto something, sometimes the automatic parkour got in the way of the manual climbing and created some, well, VR jank. Now I want to talk about the objects, tools, and weapons that you use in the game. Being able to freely take out your hidden blades, your bow, your sword is absolutely awesome. I love the freedom. And also what I loved was interacting with all the props in the world.
And this guy reading? Nope! You're not allowed to read here!
Being able to pick up the cups and the dice and almost everything I see was really cool. My favorite was going up to an NPC that's holding a cup or an instrument, grabbing it from them and playing that instrument myself.
I can play better than that. Give me that. Ready? Wait, why are you guys running? I'm playing a real good song. Wow. Complete rude.
Now that is immersive. And manually throwing knives and drawing a bow and firing it myself, also very immersive and was what I was expecting. I also loved all the NPCs that you see strewn about as you walk around these pseudo open worlds. It was very impressive to see the amount of NPCs on screen at a time. However, that is until you notice that a lot of the NPCs start to look the same, sound the same, and have the same dialogue options. But I digress. You do move around quickly enough in this game that you forget about that. Speaking of which, swimming is fun. I love jumping right into the water and doing the breaststroke manually or just holding down the stick if I just wanted to travel and felt lazy. So I appreciate having swimming mechanics in the game. But what I did not appreciate in this were the cutscenes. You see, the characters are scripted to look pretty much in one direction and stay in one direction unless they have a path. But if you notice, since you're in VR, you can walk around. So what I did is I, well, walked around in the scene because I started to get bored and noticed that the characters never were able to find where I was after I moved. They're pretty much just set in one direction, just staring and telling a story.
But I know someone who is. Lucianus. One of Critias's lackeys.
Pay attention to me.
All in all, when it comes down to immersion, I felt pretty immersed. So that's why I have to give immersion an 8 out of 10. Up next is gameplay. The first thing I want to bring up is the combat. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that the combat is passable. It is not passable. This is by far the worst part of the game. Most of the time, the player is just standing still, waiting for their turn to attack or engaging in a pseudo rock, paper, scissors battle until, well, you win. Although this is not a physics-based game, the weapons have some weight and it's up to you to block and defend and dodge against these characters. However, the enemies swinging at you pretty much attack one at a time and telegraph their moves intensely. So much so that even if the enemy was doing a heavy attack and is about to destroy you, the game slows down enough and gives you the opportunity to dodge or get out of there in time. I did find, however, that there were some times where the enemies did find it in their hearts to attack more than once at a time, but it just seems like it's because the AI forgot. For the most part, enemies are standing in front of you and they take their turn. That is, however, if they're doing a power attack. So if an enemy started a light attack while his friend did a power attack, it's supposed to cancel out the animation of the light attack guy. But sometimes both attacks happen. It's not necessarily a bad thing, I just found that it's weird. Basically what I'm saying is I would have appreciated more challenge in the combat or variety. Even if an enemy is blocking in one direction and you want to attack, let's say their legs, you are not allowed. They will auto block it, which is frustrating. Although yes, Assassin's Creed is known for parkour and stealth kills, but is also known for its combat. And I was hoping to be more creative, considering the fact that a lot of Assassin's Creed games had epic cinematic kills for fighting off enemies. The biggest reason I'm harping on the combat overall is because that there's a lot of sections of the game where they give you forced combat, meaning you can't stealth your way out of this one. Example, when you fight most bosses.
Mystios, you really are becoming a pest.
The problem with the boss fights is there's no creativity to be had here. If you try to engage in a normal duel, you will quickly see how fast the combat falls apart. In these boss battles, you're basically just waiting for your opportunity to attack. Let them do a power move, dodge left, right, or back, go in there and just move your hand up and down and repeat until the boss, well, loses. Another cool thing though about combat is you can take out your hidden blades whenever you want. However, that is not a viable strategy because you basically don't really do damage with the hidden blade unless the character's guard is broken. And you will be able to tell it's broken because that character will have a little broken heart above their head, indicating that you can go ahead and use your hidden blade for a one-shot. The mainstay though of Assassin's Creed Nexus is definitely the parkour, stealth, and ranged combat. However, the stealth is what I would consider to be passable. Unfortunately, even on the hardest setting, all the AI seems to be absolutely brain dead. So much so that I've witnessed an enemy call for guards and scream, "Sound the alarm," but no one else in the base seems to be worried about it.
Don't try to run! Don't run! Defend yourself!
They just let that man scream until, well, you take him out or the alarm sounds. But if they do sound the alarm, the guards will look for you for like 30 seconds before they just straight up give up and go back to their normal patrol route, even if there's a dead body on the floor. For the most part, you're supposed to be moving around in stealth, of course, going from bush to bush or rooftop to rooftop, and use your hidden blades, which you absolutely can do. Heck, you can even go behind an enemy and stealth kill them with one hand and grab their shoulder with the other, and that's awesome. But something I found that was pretty egregious with the hidden blade was not being able to do a dual stealth kill. You technically can do a dual stealth kill, you just can't stab two people at the same time. I noticed that in the beginning, a lot of the enemies were never standing next to each other. And I really wanted to do a dual takedown Assassin's Creed 2 style with my dual blades. So I looked and looked for people to do it with, and I couldn't find anyone. That is until I was playing as Connor. There I was on top of a roof. I see two goobers in perfect position beneath me. I jumped down, undid both of my hidden blades, got ready, lined it up, tried to stick it in both back of their heads, and to my disappointment, the blade can only be in one guard at a time. You have to quickly remove it from the guy and then stab the other one. So that was definitely disappointing. Now, aside from just normally stealthing around and using your hidden blades, you have a couple other gadgets at your disposal. Eventually, you'll unlock throwing knives and smoke bombs and either a crossbow or a regular bow. The enemies, for the most part, stand zero chance when you have all these things unlocked. Unless you run into a brute that takes about 2 or 3 throwing knives or arrows to take down, everyone else goes down in one hit from a distance. And because the game pretty much has auto-aim, aim assist with ranged combat, you're really not going to miss a shot. I did, however, appreciate the fact that I can get my throwing knives and arrows back from the corpses if I ran into them. But unfortunately, even on the hardest setting, the enemy was too blind and dumb to be able to keep up with me. There were even times where they definitely saw me and I just moved behind a box for like 2 seconds and then gave up, leading me to be able to one-shot them with a hidden blade or throwing knife. I suppose it does make you feel like a master assassin being able to quickly get in there and one-shot everyone, but it didn't leave much in the way of difficulty, even on the hardest setting. What I did love, however, was using the hidden blades on the same guy over and over and seeing how many times you can stab them. Now that may sound crazy, but the ranged combat is definitely fun, especially when you discover playing as Connor that you can also throw your tomahawk into the back of someone's head. That is a great time. But like I said, it just even furthers the point that the enemy stands zero chance against you. Moving on, climbing and parkouring definitely felt good. By far, it is the best part of the game. So if you were looking to get this game just for the free running and exploration, well, I have good news for you. That is satisfying. However, given all the other elements that you have to experience throughout the game for gameplay, I do have to give them a 5 out of 10. Up next, we have aesthetics. Now, aesthetics will encapsulate a couple of things, from visual and sound. The game itself looks beautiful. The environments are fantastic. The different levels you go to looks so good. Even the water just made me want to jump right in. The music itself also fits perfectly for whatever the player is doing. Even when you change between levels, you will always feel like the music is in the right place. The sounds in combat are also fantastic. Sword clashes, throwing a bow, shooting an arrow, even to throwing a smoke bomb and having it explode. Great. The voice acting itself is also pretty good, for the most part. I mean, there's only 1 or 2 background characters that you may hear that sound out of place, but for the most part, the voice acting is great. Although the classic "you're as good as dead" line came up a few too many times. But overall, on the aesthetic side, I have to give it a solid 9 out of 10. Up next, we have value. Now, value can be pretty subjective. This is a $40 game, but it is a complete $40 game. It's a story-based experience that has other, of course, gameplay elements built into it. So if that's what you're expecting, a $40 game that's story-driven, that you could also do Assassin's Creed stuff in, well, it nailed that. There's also a few side activities to do, from collecting things, parkour challenges, and even ranged combat activities. But as far as replayability goes, I don't know if there's supposed to be a super high amount of replay value. That is to say, after completing the campaign, a message pops up inviting you to go back to other missions and find other collectibles and just mess about. So I do believe that the developers did want you to go back and replay at least some of this game. However, for me, I don't really consider the replay value to be that high, especially because the gameplay loop of combat and stealth really isn't that satisfying. However, maybe you are looking to just go back and run around rooftops and feel like an assassin and do some classic Assassin's Creed takedowns. So, all in all, I have to give value an 8 out of 10. Our final subject is overall fun. Of course, I think fun is an absolute must-have in any, well, game you are playing. And overall, I definitely had fun while playing Assassin's Creed Nexus. Yes, the game definitely has some blemishes, especially when it comes to traditional combat. But other things can be really subjective. Maybe you're someone that has fun just running around on rooftops and experiencing the game itself. Maybe you like just picking up the musical instruments and playing that and seeing the look on the NPC's faces. And although there's definitely a meta to stealth killing as far as just stabbing someone, throwing knives, or shooting arrows from a distance, you absolutely can play this game and give yourself the challenge of using, well, hidden blades only and trying to hide bodies and not get caught. Being in these worlds in VR for the first time and being an assassin definitely put a smile upon my face. So overall, the game gives you your own agency to have fun while playing, and that's what's the most important. So for overall fun, I give Assassin's Creed Nexus a 7 out of 10. So overall, using my super sophisticated and patented downloadable content math, the final score comes to 7.05 out of 10, which of course will round to a solid 7 out of 10.
Silversmith looking for a
Shut up!
Well, my friends, that is it for the review for Assassin's Creed Nexus. I hope you had a good time. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Do you agree or disagree with any of my points? I would love to hear your opinion. I am also looking to do other VR reviews just like this here on the channel. So if you like those, stay tuned. Go ahead and subscribe if you are new. But other than that, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I'm Drifter from Downloadable Content, and I will see you next time.